Hi, I'm about to demo the game Full Spectrum Dominance from the Lazy Forger, who makes and designs all the 3D miniatures, and I print and sell them as a box game on my website. I'm going to go through the rules in a battle report with a friend of mine called Bill who's coming over, and we're going to showcase all the different mechanics. And I'll just take a moment before we do to showcase the miniatures, because not only is this a great game in terms of how it plays, but the model designs by Lazy Forger are absolutely fantastic, and I'm very proud to have these as something that's listed on my website. So I've got out a number of models that are an example of what's in the various box sets that I do. In fact, you get more than this. The army nearest the camera here are the enlisted. They are the human faction, and up here we have the demonstration of the tech faction. Loads of giant robots and mech suits and flyers, very, very cool looking models. The terrain is also made by the same manufacturer and is included in the box set. And as you can see from the amount of space it takes up on a gaming table, it's 3 feet by 2 feet, which means that you can play it in a heck of a lot of various spaces. And a 22 by 30 inch mat is slightly smaller than this, but the game uses distance units rather than an actual measurement. So it's very easy to scale that down to fit what you can have on the table space that you've got available to play. The game comes with a number of cards and they support the game and help you keep track of everything and mean you don't have a rule book you need to keep flipping through to look up all the stats. So always a thumbs up to any game that includes cards. Let's get into the game with Bill and we'll go through the mechanics and see how the game plays out. Hi, welcome to our how to play video for Full Spectrum Dominance. I'm joined by Bill.
Howdy.
Of Warzone Morlock fame, and we are playing Full Spectrum Dominance, which we've got laid out here, and I'm going to be doing it in a how to play style. So we'll be going through some of the rules as we use them and making sure it's quite clear on what we do. We've got our reference sheet here with the rules which are now available online. And as of the 12th of December, which is today recording, so probably yesterday by the time I get this out, the campaign has gone live on My Mini Factory, so definitely check it out. It's worked by the Lazy Forger, and let's get into the first term. Okay, so our first step after establishing who goes first with a priority roll is to roll our activation dice. So these will be our resources to spend on doing things with our units, and certain abilities, as you'll see here, using certain weapons requires certain dice. So we're going to be looking for some results. I know I need a lot of 4+, which I didn't get. Thankfully, I'm allowed a single re-roll of the dice that I don't want to use. And I've got a couple more, and I've also got some 1s which allow me to use my rockets. So not a bad result for me at all. So on the other side of the table, Bill's got a reasonable result. But even after a re-roll, he didn't get any 1s. So his special AI ability is not going to be able to be activated this turn. So this already shows us the resource management of these dice rolls and figuring out what you need to spend on the abilities that you want to do for the turn. Right, so we're coming to the first activation. It's a good time to show the command system. My tank here has a command value of 1. That means when I activate it by spending one of my resource dice, my activation dice, I can activate one other unit within 3 distance units around it. And this game doesn't have a fixed size of its measurements. It uses distance units. We're playing on a 2x3 board here. So that means that we're going to use 3 inches as our distance unit, but you can scale it up or down as needed. So when the tank moves, the troop carrier gets to move with it because he's shouting down the microphone. So after this is activated and moved to move closer to this objective, I do have a bead on this big boy over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll dice equal to the dice on the chart for the weapon. I do have plenty of 5s, so I will spend a 5 to use the energy cannon as opposed to the machine guns. That goes into my discard pile, and I'll be rolling 2d8, needing to get the defense value of the rig,
Which is 4+.
a 4+. Normally, he would be getting cover from this building, which is in between. However, I do have the IC ignores cover trait. So I'll be rolling 2d8, trying to get a 4+. So I've scored 2 hits. What Bill will now do is pick up dice equal to his save characteristic, which is 3d10s.
3d10s.
And rolling them for each hit. So my first hit was a 5, so you need to beat a 5 on your 3 dice. So yeah, two results is enough. Only needed 1, so that's deflected that hit, and then you need to do again for the 6 this time. So that has also been deflected off of his armor.
Nails.
So as part of the command system, this vehicle also moved and then used the unload action to put the infantry inside on this objective. They will now be holding this objective because they are in contact with it, at the end of the turn unless they're pinned. So Bill will now have to think about whether he wants to shoot them to pin them, and I will have to think about whether I want to activate them. And the last thing to do is to turn the cards of the units that you've activated so you know what's already gone. I've got 6 activations left. Now it's over to Bill with his full resources. Right, Bill's activated his large rig here because of the command bubble, which is super helpful. And as part of its action, he's moved and now gets to make 1 action off of his card. So he's going to make the light minigun attack because it's free. Yeah. And he's going to spend out on one of these system upgrades. So what are your choices here, Bill?
Well, I haven't got a 1 because for the more powerful rockets that ignore cover, you'd need a 1 and a 2.
Correct.
But in my resource pool, I don't have those. So I'm actually just going to fire the light cannon. We're using one of my 4s because I've got other stuff that requires 5s and 6s.
Good planning.
Yeah.
Okay, so shots from the light cannon are coming in hot.
Yeah. It's 2d8 against the defense of your...
Yep, this tank here.
Tank there.
So
oh, it's terrible.
That is 2 misses, unfortunately.
Absolute classic rolling.
That's very classic Bill rolling, but thankfully he can... Right, these spider droids have moved up. They're pretty slow and clunky, but they do have range, but they're at long range. Is that right, Bill?
That's right, because my range is only... sorry.
3DU?
Yes, 9 in this game, 9 inches, which is just short of the target there. But you can shoot further than your range, but you get some sort of defense bonus.
Yes, so my defense will go from a 4 to a 5, so you'll be needing 5s to hit me.
Okay.
So these guys have a per base weapon, so Bill's rolling a shed load of dice here. And that is 4 6s, Bill. Quite a bit of dice rolling, we did it off camera, but thankfully the armour just about absorbed those 4 hits, but it was very, very close due to some tragic rolling from me, and Bill still has another unit under the command bubble to activate. Right, these guys have moved up to seize this objective and do have a cheeky shot through here on the tank, so Bill will be firing their rifles, but also spending one of his 6s here.
Because I had a 6 in my pool, the light railgun, which does AP, requires a 6, so that's a little command point, resource spend.
Yep, spending one of your activation dice to do that. So let's see how that pans out. So unfortunately the railgun missed, but it was worth taking a chance because it has the AP trait and is very good against vehicles, and hitting and damaging this vehicle may pin it, which when it comes up I'll explain, but it does reduce its ability to do anything, which is very, very important. So a pot shot like this when Bill still had quite a lot of resource dice was definitely a good decision. Right, my Walker commanded the heavy infantry to move up into the building. He's gotten 2 hits on the rig with his rocket pods. Bill's going to defend against them, but these have the AP rule. So the save of 3d10
goes down to 2d10?
Goes down to 2, so this has a higher chance of getting through. First of all, you need a 5 on 2d10. Yep, you got it, and now you need the 6. Just made it. Very little blood spilled on the early turns. Okay, so this suit is all the way out there because...
started over here. And he's, first of all, he's got his command ability, so he was able to activate this unit as well.
Yep.
But he used his... I used 1 resource to activate him and a second 2 or more to use his jump ability. And put him in 4 DU movement, put him next to the primary objective here, which is a right touch. And these guys, as a result of his command ability, got to push forward onto the secondary objective here.
Yep, so because these guys are infantry, they will automatically claim that objective as a free action. And this guy spent his second action, rather than shooting here, which was very tempting, Bill's played the game and has secured this objective.
First time for everything.
Yeah, so in this scenario, there's 3 key objectives in the middle, which will be playing for each turn.
The red ones.
The red ones. The person who holds the most will get a victory card, but the first time you claim an objective, you get a bonus victory card. So not only will Bill be taking these secondaries home for a card, he'll also be taking this one. Right, so my final moves with my flank were to activate these guys so that they can command the light vehicle. It's pushed on up to the objective. It can't secure it this turn, so it ran out of actions, but it has used plenty of movement, and this infantry has moved up here. So when you make 2 move actions with your 2 actions that each unit gets, the second is always 1 distance unit less. So unfortunately, these guys couldn't get that far to get to the objective, but it's worth pointing out now, they are both in base contact with this building, which means they count as getting cover from the building because they're infantry. So infantry units can be in base contact with a building and get 360 line of sight cover, whereas vehicles, it's only about direct cover. So I've put him here so that old Xeno suit back here doesn't get him, but this infantry, no matter where they get shot from, will be in cover because they're thought to be occupying this building. We put the models here to represent what's going on, but they're actually taking cover inside what's left over of this shanty shack. And my last action for this first turn is this infantry had a couple of shots across the field. This infantry have managed to land a hit. So now Bill's going to take his save, which we'll see with infantry.
Yeah, battle droids is 1d8.
Yeah, significantly less than we've seen with the vehicles. So I got a 6 to hit.
Behold.
Bill, you're going to need, that's a D10.
No. Oh, lordy, lordy.
That's a D10. I'll let you roll it again if you roll the right dice.
Let's go with the red one.
It's not enough.
It's even worse.
So what happens now is rather than making damage on the unit like you would for a vehicle, they take a casualty, a whole base is removed, and this unit is now pinned.
Cowards.
Which means they won't claim this objective.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're here at the end of the first turn. Bill is the only person to hold a central objective. I didn't get to that one, nor did he, and this unfortunately wasn't quite enough to move it and claim it. So Bill, for claiming this for the first time, will get a victory card, and for most at end of turn, we'll get a victory card. These are secondary objectives. So Bill's claimed this one, so you may now remove that and get a victory card. I will do the same here. And
I would have scored this one.
Indeed.
But because of your shooting, you have pinned my troops.
Yep.
And they can't claim it because they're hiding like cowards.
They've got their heads down like robot cowards. So Bill will have to unpin them next turn with an action if he wants to get that objective. So you are in the lead. What we'll do is we'll draw cards from our objective piles, and I will show this one to the camera because it has two options. If you keep the cards secret until the end of the game, you get this many victory points. If I play the card for this advantage, what will happen is I get less victory points, but I will get to use this card, slight typo here, to neutralise one of his support cards. So there's that coming in the future for Bill. But he's got 3 cards now, and they have a varying victory points between 1 and 5. So I don't know how many he's got, and he, although he knows what this is, so I said it out loud, doesn't actually know how many points I've got. So, you know, he can assume he's ahead, but by how much? Right, and the last action we've taken before we're re-rolling our activation dice for the next turn is to place on cards dice that we want to keep, because at this stage of the game we still have enough to roll our 8 activation dice for the turn and without worrying about running out, so we can stash some abilities that we may need for the future. Once we get more units and more going on in the game and the reinforcements coming up, we have to seriously think about what we want to put on cards and what we want to roll.
4.
Right, so Bill has lost priority to me this turn, which means I'll get to do all my activations and decision making first. And the first thing to do is to roll up the activation dice, which we'll do off camera, and come back. Right, so now it's turn 2, we're into the reinforcements phase. I will flip over what's first in my wave of reinforcements that we decided at the start of the game. I get mobile artillery for some long range firepower. Bill, what do you get? You get a stack of cards
I've got this bunch here. Check this out. Pilot AI, sentient AI, and more heavy droids.
Excellent. So now you'll be able to start buffing your suits with these AI pilots. And the special ability for the tech is that they can move their pilots around to different units because the sentient AI, etc., comes in and takes over one of the units that's on the battlefield. So my first activation has been to put the reinforcements onto the battlefield because it doesn't cost an activation dice, which is great, but it does come in with -1 action. So I can literally deploy it and then have range the battlefield because this has a very long range and including a minimum range. If I held one of the central objectives, as Bill does here, what he will be allowed to do is to bring on his reinforcements in a bubble around here, as long as they're more than 2 distance units away from mine. There's a 3 distance unit or 9-inch bubble that he can use as his now additional deployment area. So he'll have a lot more options than I will. But for now, this thing's going to open fire on the rig. Right, I've got a beastly roll because this thing hits on D12s on this suit. And Bill, unfortunately, has taken 2 hits. So what we do is we roll to see what happens to the suit. So I've got a 4 and a 5, so I'll go over to the card here and we'll look at what its stat blocks are. So it will take...
Defense.
Yep, so you're looking at the bottom of the card, there is a damage locations. So I've done a 4 and a 5 damage, so I put that there. And then this, because this dice would be going into an already damaged location, the vehicle is in fact destroyed.
Boom. Gone.
Okay, so in this turn, Bill brought down these reinforcements over here, touching this very securely.
Because of the objective, it allows me to deploy in a bubble that's more than 9 inches away from the enemy, but essentially it gives you a bit more tactical flexibility there.
It does, which is key because I managed to hit and pin and damage this rig, so thankfully the infantry can grab the objective. I've kind of split my forces from the middle here. These guys have pushed up onto the objective as they went after Bill's centre had already acted, so they were fairly safe to do so. And over here, Bill has unpinned these troops to grab this objective and took a pot shot at my tank, which missed. And these guys did some moving and shooting to grab the objective, and then the light vehicle just moved up and did a secondary claim because I didn't want Bill's reinforcements coming on and pinning these guys. So it was a bit of an overcommitment, but it means that I've definitely got the objective. So at the end of the turn, I've got 1, 2 centrals to Bill's 1, but he has claimed this secondary objective. So Bill will get a victory card for this.
Hooray!
I'll get a victory card for holding more of the centres, and 2 each for claiming these for the first time, which puts us on 4 each. Well, as this is a rules demonstration video, Bill has kindly, I say, used this rig's jump ability to leap through the sky into hand-to-hand combat with... What are you choosing as your target, Bill?
I'm thinking I'm going to punch this bad boy in the mouth.
I mean, it's giant robots punching each other. We've got to have that, haven't we?
It's so cool. So the reason I could do that is because I gave him the pilot AI card, which is there. So it allows... First of all, I can use 4 command... ability, so I can activate up to 4 units. So I've got a big group here, so they can all do one massive action.
Yep.
And also, all models in the unit can perform 1 extra action per turn. So I unpinned for free.
Yep, brilliant.
And then I can jump and give them a right smack across the chops.
With the power fist,
With the power fist, which I've already got allocated dice for there. So
brilliant.
It's going to be brutal.
Let's see.
So off he goes. We've already pre-measured. It's 4 DU, so he's in the grill there.
Yep, so you get, with your power fist, you get 2d10 to roll your attack, and you need a 4+. Oh, Bill! Oh, Bill!
You cannot make it up. That's
you can't make this up, which is such a shame because you get an additional point of AP for being in short range, but this game has no dice re-rolls, so off we go.
Cannot make it up.
Okay, Bill may have had some heinously bad luck here that we all sympathise for. However, these guys have about 1 million machine guns and rail rifles and everything under the sun, and my infantry holding the objective. I can remove their pinned marker because they are already dead. So now nobody holds this objective, which is interesting. Strong play from Bill there. We've still got another half a battlefield's worth to go. We're rules testing, not tactics testing. So this artillery piece is going to lob a shell all the way over here. Because it has, with its artillery cannon, a 6 distance unit range, which is 18 inches, or double that, but Bill will get +1 defence. I've had to spend 2 5s to fire it, as well as an activation dice, so very dice heavy, but it's got area 2, so it's got a 2 distance unit area that it hits everything with frag rounds, essentially. So I can
cover both those units.
Both those units with 1 shot. Whether that's efficient or not, I have no idea, but we're going to try and pin those guys because they are on the objective and have acted. So the unfortunate luck turns to me. I managed to kill a base with a frag round to the head. These guys I didn't hit because of the extra modifier to their defence at long range, which means although I pinned 1 unit, Bill still holds this with the 2nd unpinned unit. Okay, so Bill is going to employ the close range firefight rules here, where these guys are within 1 distance unit of the enemy target, meaning that they will reduce their armour save down by 1 dice. They get the AP rule. The armoured infantry has 2d6 for their saves normally, reducing just to 1d6. So we're going to be straight roll-offs for hitting and defending, except Bill gets 6 dice to go with. So let's see what you can do, Bill. Oh my lord, you've done it again. You've only hit me once. However, I defend against it, so they come through unscathed.
What?
Right, I've gone and spent the last of my activation dice over here to let this vehicle commanded by these troops fire on Bill's troops, which has removed them, but has left me with no more activation dice in my little pool here, so I can't activate my gun walker, even though it's ready to go. So over here, he won't be able to act. The only thing I've got left is to bring on my reinforcements, which thankfully doesn't cost me an AD, and they get some form of action. But Bill is now outclassing me in terms of activation dice because I spent everything on this artillery strike, so we'll see if that was worth it. but Bill's got some more guns coming. And summarise what I meant by still some guns. This came on as a reinforcement. It can only make one attack with its main gun, but it hit so well against the infantry with a 7 and an 8.
7 and a 10.
Oh, 7 and a 10 with their D6 save. The infantry unit that was here was unable to save anything, and Bill's immediately driven them off to the objective. So while he didn't play to control this, he has taken it away from me, meaning we'll have one each, which will be a draw, and no one gets a victory card. Right, being as it's now turn 4, it's the last reinforcements wave, so I've gotten this main battle tank here to tick me up to my final number of points, and Bill has got this Socrates rig here, so the big shooty robot. I also got an extra ability, which can be very valuable to remove cover bonuses and may come into the game slightly, but it's usually a good late turn ability to get rid of units that are sneaking in cover and holding objectives, which they're kind of doing over here, and or our scout and stealth units. But we're now going to roll our activation dice and get ready for turn 4. Okay, Bill's got the priority here and is being greedy here and going for the punch again, aren't you, Bill? You really want to slog that guy.
Yeah, I want to see a punch. I want to see his head get taken off. So I've got 2 D10s here looking for 4s.
Your 4s, yep, and then they have the AP trait. There we go, you've got 1 in there. You've got 1 in there. Right, because it's point blank range, I only get 1 of these instead of 2 because of the AP. It's not enough to defend. Bill, you can roll a D6 to see what damage you do to the Gunner Walker.
4.
That is a 4. His movement is reduced. And if he gets a 4 again, it'll go bang. And then Bill's second action will be to claim/contest this objective with the Walker. What the rig couldn't get done with his Power Fist, his commanding of the troops behind him with his command ability means that they managed to finally finish off through some cheeky line of sight. I had cover, but it wasn't enough. That Walker took several hits to take down because Bill initially got the move and then the weapon result, but thankfully got the move result again, which means it's 2 damages on the same location, and the Walker went bang.
Heavy droids are MVPs at the moment.
They're doing so well.
Yeah, they're really good.
Doing so well. Now I've got to do some sneaky moves over this side, I think, to try and secure one part of the battlefield at least. Right, Bill moved his spider droid up here to claim this objective. I had to take his bait and shoot at it with my tank, so I don't get outnumbered on objectives, which means that Bill's now free with this guy to hose this vehicle. He scored a hit. I'm pointing this out because he is now within my flank arc, because there's 180 from the front arc of the vehicles. This is its front arc, this is its side arc, which means that my troop carrier has a 2d10 save. Very nice. The gun has AP, so I chuck one of those away. It's a flanking shot, so I take this d10, throw that away, and get a d8 instead. So what was your to hit roll, Bill? Was a 7? It's just this dice here.
Yes, that was it. Because I rolled 2.
So let's see what happens. No, all of those abilities pile onto me and I get no save. And you roll directly on my damage characteristic with a d6. It's a 2. That's the dead result because it's a very light vehicle, only has 50-50 chance of survival. Boom.
Boom. Yeah.
Very clear on that objective, Bill.
Yes.
You made a decision earlier not to shoot with this vehicle into combat and to claim the objective rather than contest.
It was a gamble, but it's paid off.
It's hugely paid off.
It's a bold move, Cotton.
Right, I've got to bring on my final reinforcement, and I think my only option is to place it back here with the intention of shooting this guy, because even if I don't destroy him, I need to pin him so that that objective is not claimed, which will then push it to another drawn turn at this rate. But this is really what we're playing for now, is this extra victory card that comes from this secondary objective. As Bill has just said, pivotal moment. This is going to fire on here with its battle cannon, which I spent points on. I have got 2 hits, only just. The gun does have AP, Bill, so you reduce your armor save from 2d10 to a d10. So you need to get more than a 4 twice. So first shot, you deflect. Second shot, deflect. Goodness me, your luck has turned.
Here we go.
This is firing its energy weapon at this rig here. Bill claims he's cursed, and I've got a 5 and a 7 to hit. And this thing has a 3d12s for its save. So he only needs to get a 5 on one of the 3d12s. And this is what Bill puts out.
This is what happens when you dabble with Satan.
And for the 7, Bill, on the off chance that you roll horribly again.
Watch this. Yeah.
Oh dear. Against all odds, this thing's taken 2 hits.
You win this round, devil.
And with a 3 and a 5, I don't think it's going to be blown up.
A 3 is an arm, and a 5 is a... What does that say?
Don't know. But it means that it's a...
Pin?
Oh, pinned.
Pinned.
It's pinned, which was pinned anyway. So, not so bad, really.
Great.
Right, once again, we're hurling shells across the battlefield trying to get this rig here. I need 5s to hit him, but thankfully this thing's weapon is D12s when you fire this one, which I've spent the 5 on. So it's pretty harsh. So let's see if we can get this guy. We got a 12 and a miss at that range.
I think that's the most you can get on that dice.
It is indeed, and it means that even with his save characteristic, which is D10s, he cannot save against that, so he takes an automatic hit. Let's see what it does. That's a 2. Dead. Blown off the objective. Oh, so that puts us at the end of the term. I firmly hold this objective over here.
Yeah.
Bill firmly holds this objective over here, and this one's got nothing left on it. No one grabbed the secondary yet again. So that puts us at a draw with no additional victory cards each as we go into the final turn with no more reinforcements to play. Right, Bill's about to activate this Socrates mech here, and we've just come to the realisation why you don't necessarily want to use the command ability to activate a bunch of units. Yeah.
So if I was to take shots, if I was to activate all this stuff now, and then I would get bombed by the artillery piece and then get pinned here, it wouldn't allow me to secure this objective.
Correct.
Whereas I could use an action to unpin myself should I survive said barrage later game. So it's tactically sound to leave them as they are and have the flexibility to unpin myself.
Yeah, he wants to go one at a time because Bill's got more units to activate than I do. All I've got left is this with now no functioning gun and these units over here. So Bill can probably outplay me to force me to use my artillery first. And therefore be safe with his units over here. Running things down at the end of the game here, I've tried to play out the activations by moving this and by moving this, and we're at the decision point now where Bill can activate these droids.
These are my last unit to activate.
And I've still got these guys to go, who are probably just going to sit on the objective, to be honest. And we've got this guy to go, who's going to shell something.
Yeah.
So Bill's been canny and used the pass mechanic to pass the activation back to me. Now, I can choose to pass as well, which would then end the turn.
Yeah, which would mean I would secure the extra point for this, as well as drawing on the rest of it.
Yeah, so Bill knows that he can bait out of me what I do with my artillery piece by passing the turn. Very smart, Bill.
Well, hopefully I can pass the pinning, which 100% I will not. 100%, but it's my only play.
It is.
Try and win.
Only Bill could have such luck where I just said, use up the activations to fire this infantry's heavy machine gun onto this big gun platform over here. Of course, these let Bill down horribly by getting like 3, 3 and a 4.
Yeah, we hate it.
And secondary damage on the weapon system means it's gone. It doesn't afford me much in terms of victory points, but it certainly makes me feel better in terms of spite points. So I got carried away with myself and spent a 5 on that armoured infantry to shoot, which felt great. But it's left me with only 1 6 with which to fire my mobile artillery, and it needs 2 5s and 6s. So now I can't frag these guys.
You're hungry for the blood, Rich. You went mad.
Bill was patient, and it's paid off, because now all I can do is single shot against this to essentially force a draw in terms of number of cards, because we still don't know how many points these cards are worth. We haven't spent them for anything. So let's see if I can drop a shell on this bad boy with my 2d12 artillery cannon shot. So hitting on 5s here. I've gotten 2. You need to defend against them both, Bill. It does have AP, so you're getting
so
2d10 for each one. So against the 5... Only you could do this. Only you
Can
could
I
do
add it together?
this.
No,
They don't add together. And against the 10...
No.
Yeah, not good. Not good. Let's look at its card, because I get a 3 and a 4, which are 2 separate things. So you lose both of your weapon systems. Yeah, I cut these badly with a pair of scissors. But 3 and a 4 is the 2 separate weapon systems. So you live.
Yeah, but I didn't need any guns anyway.
You're just going to stand there and hold that container.
Yeah, jackpot.
So, jackpot for Bill. It's a draw on the main objectives. I hold this one that he could not get this infantry off of. Everything died trying to get this.
And everything.
Unshiftable.
Mine.
Bill's
Heavy droids are the man.
Bill's play to not shoot and instead claim this objective was very smart. You get that and get a victory card, Bill.
Yay.
Which now puts you 1 victory card up against me. So I will reveal first as the player with the least. I have 3 victory points. I have 4 victory points for 7. Another 3 for 10. And The big 5.
Oh, nice.
For 15 points in total. What do you got, Bill?
I've got 3.
6.
I've got 6.
6.
10. 11, 12, 13. 14, 15.
It's a draw. It's a draw after all that. All of this bloodshed for a draw. I mean, that is war, isn't it? So
Nobody wins in war.
nope.
But when it's robots against miniature future humans, I think Wargaming won today.
Oh,
Essentially.
that's so homely. And
Yeah.
so yeah, how do you think that went then, Bill?
Well, to scrape a draw, honestly, looking at the victory points that you keep secret as you play along,
Yes.
I thought I had a decent bank of points as we were going on, but then you slammed down that 5-point card that you were keeping secret.
That's the first one I drew as well.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Rig
nice.
deck, that's what it is.
I think there's probably some nuance into using those victory points for in-game abilities, but not knowing it particularly well,
It's hard to decide,
Just wait
yeah.
for the points. But I've got a good score. I got the tactics side of it towards the end, and the activations are very cool. And man of the match, or droid of the match, is going to be the heavy droids. I really like the way they play. Vehicles are okay, but I think the infantry is
It's a combined arms game, and I think you definitely need all the elements. And yeah, I found that the infantry was incredibly important. The heavy infantry, again, nabbed it for me, holding those objectives right at the backfield.
I surrendered that side of the board when I realised how slow my army actually was, apart from the jump stuff.
Yeah, the enlisted, which is what I was using, the humans, have a lot of speed in terms of their vehicles are a little bit faster, and they have troop transports, whereas you've got a lot more resilience and ranged firepower. So, yeah, a good balance.
And the passing activation is really cool as well. As it played out at the end as well, which I thought was brilliant.
Yeah, so overall fantastic.
I was brilliant.
You were brilliant. Bill was brilliant. Bill was fantastic. But overall, fantastic game. Highly sold on this, and hopefully this video will help people understand how the game mechanics work. Because for the first time reading it, I wasn't 100% sure, but once playing through it, it immediately makes sense once you start playing it.
And it'll fit on a coffee table.
Yeah,
I mean, in your living room.
This is a 2 foot by 3 foot. Yeah, absolutely fantastic. And the cards really help. And everything's going up on the My Mini Factory campaign. You'll be able to get the miniatures if you've got a 3D printer. If not, I make and sell the miniatures. And the rules are available on there as well. So check it out.